liquid hot magma.
Not the gentle fade out. All right, welcome. It is Wednesday evening. It is January 31st, 2024. I'm a nerd. This is the Travel Nerd News. Let's get into the show. So I'm having some computer issues this evening. Hopefully it doesn't impact the show too horribly wrong. Yeah, anyway, we will move on. Looks all right. Let's where am I? Archie, greetings from Central New York.
Welcome to the party, pal.
That's my new non-member greeting. Welcome to the
party, pal.
I don't know. I like it. I like the movie Die Hard. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? That's the debate every year, it seems. Anyway, all right. Well, welcome, Archie. It is, in my world, weather-wise, it is 61 degrees today. No, 62. It's currently 56, and there is rain forecast for later this evening. So, yeah, I'm looking outside, and it's dark and cloudy. The wind has died down a bit, which is good. 61 degrees, you kind of want to get outside and enjoy the weather, but cloudy and wind doesn't feel like 61, so I did not. David Lazarus has arrived. Good morning, David. Good morning to you. Hopefully you are doing well this morning. David agrees with me. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Movie about new beginnings and such and things. I'm going to go with that. I don't know why I would call it a Christmas movie necessarily, other than it happens at Christmas. 35 degrees and damp slush melt. That's unpleasant. I have zero snow within my vision right now. Every bit of snow from my 17 inches of snowfall has, even the piles of shoveled are gone. Yay! So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, it is lovely. There always gets this period in Idaho here where it feels like the winter might sort of probably be over, and we're probably not going to get any more. And it'll be warmish for a month or so into the middle to the end of February, and then it'll get cold, and we might get a passing snow shower, but nothing will stick probably after this point. So it's getting too late in the year. I live in high desert, so we typically don't get that much precipitation anyway. So Archie says first two are Christmas movies. Yes. David has the I now have a machine gun ho 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 sweatshirt. Yes, excellent. That is amazing. I love that. Excuse me. Unfortunately, this clip
Welcome to the party, pal.
is really hard to clip without getting, because he immediately goes, there's actually some other noise and music after that. And of course, it's not my noise and music, so I don't want to get too much on there because, yeah, YouTube and all that. Archie says, like that the second was at the airport. Yes, me too. So, our friend Jason is in Charlotte this very second. He's probably made his way to his next aircraft. He'll be flying from Charlotte to Omaha. Scheduled departure at 6:53 my time. I think that's right. So we will be checking. I expect we may or may not be here at 6:53 my time. If we are here, we will check in with Jason. At least check in with his flight, and see what and see how it's going for him. He's on a 737-800. He doesn't really like the 737-800. He tells me. Yeah. So anyway, so let's continue with the regular programming. First up this evening, Jason dealing with more lizard people. You could make the argument that everybody is probably a lizard person. I think that argument could be made. He's working first class tonight, so generally I find less lizard people in first class. So, all right, let's check Flight Radar 24 this evening. 14,207 flights I would expect over the weeks and months coming up. As we look at this on Wednesdays, that number is going to continue to get bigger even at this time of day. Excuse me, middle of the night in Europe, early evening here in the United States. Look at that gap where Ukraine is. Anyway, what's going on there? Anyway, so lots of flights in North America still, less in Europe, as you would expect for 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I did see earlier, we got one of these outliers, these Qantas guys who fly the circle route to the south. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. That'd be an interesting flight. So they're taking the circle route, which is what these things are. Anyway, I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm a nerd. So the most tracked flight at the moment is only tracked by 564 people. Not a ton of people, but that's a cool airplane. What is that? What kind of airplane actually is that? A Kawasaki C2. Landing. Where is he going? Flying around Tokyo. Doing something around Tokyo. Yeah. Japanese Air Self-Defense Force. So, yeah, I wonder what he's doing. 672 people be tracking it right now. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. We'll keep an eye on that. But, let's see. David says, TMZ finally came through with the 737 MAX story. It's on YouTube if I want to watch. I might do that later. But let's move on. Let's just move on. All right. In more problems for the MAX. Oh, MAX. So many problems with the MAX. John Astrower, for him. Boeing late Monday announced that it was officially withdrawing a request with the FAA to allow its yet-to-be certified MAX 7 to use the same safety workaround as existing MAX 8 and 9 aircraft to protect against a scenario in which the use of the aircraft's de-icing system in dry conditions could lead to a dangerously overheated engine inlet. There's a workaround? The more I read about the MAX, the more disturbed I find the whole MAX story. The issue, formally revealed as part of an FAA airworthiness directive in August of last year, caused the aircraft's certification to risk slipping into 24, and it has continued to plague the aircraft in shadow of ongoing quality assurance problems at Boeing. Yeah, I hadn't even heard about this one. I just did 737 MAX news. This is what popped up. Anyway.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, you'd certainly think that. The company formally requested the time-limited exemption in November 23 to give itself until May 26 to field a formal fix for the MAX 7 and other MAX family members. The FAA airworthiness directive from August permits the MAX 8s and 9s to fly without the fix. Oh, that's lovely. With the regulator approving a Boeing mitigation by requiring the crew to remember to deactivate the anti-ice should it be flying in dry air. So it's good. It's more. So see, I'm not a member, so that's all we can read. I'm not going to continue reading. United CEO expresses support for Boeing, not necessarily its leadership. Yeah. So I can't read more, but again, for an aircraft that already has problems, withdrawing this exemption request is probably a good thing. Boeing, you need to get their stuff together.
How dare you?
Yeah, and I think the executives, that is what they're saying. So, yeah, not good. Not good. Let's see. before I move on to the next article, checking the chat, David asks, so am I noticing no lizard people on flights that I am on in first? Are you a natural lizard people repellent? Maybe I'm a lizard person. And so it's just my people. I'm sure you'll have fun with that one. Let's see. Let's see. Archie has found Jason's flight. American Airlines 2941 will leave from gate A8 on time. That's what I've got here. So I've got him ready. I've got him chalked up and ready to go. Let's see. I think if I do that. Let's just do that. That will take us to the flight. Maybe. I'll get a play button here once it goes live, I believe. Badger says hello. Hello, my friend.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Oh, that's the wrong button. Badger's green with a membership, so he gets the... If I'm a little distracted this evening, I'm slow cooking a roast. And I'm really hungry and it smells really, really good. So anyway, if I'm distracted, that might be part of it. Again, greetings, Badger. Let's see. David says, remember, China still hasn't certified the MAX again. Yeah. Well, they want everybody to use their airplane, I think. Their Chinese Airbus. Badger says, I'd love to sit next to David on a flight. I would love to meet David. That would be fun. Badger, do you have a new logo? A new profile pic? I don't know if I can look at you. I might have to look at you later. See what your new photo is. David's still got his mug shot. And I can't see Archie's either. So I'll have to look later. Anyway. But I digress, because let's move on to the next story. And here we go. Badger liked the welcome to the party. Yeah, I like that. I have something different. I'm a big fan of that. I was looking for something different than applause, because then I could use applause for other things. So the Business Insider has an article about 2 ex-Boeing staffers said they wouldn't fly on the MAX, citing pressure to rush the planes out the door. So here's the fix being undertaken. This is actually an Alaska plane, I'm guessing based on the safety cards and this guy with Alaska. So this is probably them documenting the inspection. Yeah. And so here's the insulation and stuff that goes on the inside, I'm guessing, behind the white panel. I don't know. But let's read the article. And this is not a surprise to anyone that, there's enough, even with a perfectly lovely airplane, say like what's a perfectly lovely airplane? The A350 has had, I've seen no news stories about quality in the A350. Probably A380 would be close, but they've had a door issue with some leakage and stuff. But I've heard nothing bad about the A350. I'll bet out there in the world somewhere you could find someone, and I believe the term for these people is called Karen. I don't know why it's Karen, but I believe you could find an Airbus Karen who would claim that the A350 was bad. It's bad. So this doesn't surprise me. However, in light of all of the problems, it also doesn't surprise me, and I'm not 100% in disagreement with their stance. So there's a squirrel. 2 former Boeing staffers told the Los Angeles Times, which aren't they going under? Out of business or something? Did they just lay off like everybody? Somebody would know. Somebody out there would know. 2 former Boeing staffers told the LA Times they wouldn't fly on a MAX due to safety concerns, I would absolutely not fly a MAX airplane. Ed Pearson, a former senior manager at Boeing, told the LA Times. Well, Ed, if you're a former senior manager at Boeing, aren't you part of the problem? Perhaps. I've worked... Hope I have a lurker. I sensed a presence. Anyway, I've worked in the factory floor where they were built, and I saw the pressure employees were under to rush the planes out the door. Building 40 whatever a month that they're up to, or they were, seemed like way too many airplanes. Boeing's production line has come under increased scrutiny since the FAA grounded 171 MAX 9 jets following the Alaska Airlines blowout earlier this month. The blowout.
Liquid hot magma.
That's a different kind of blowout. The Wall Street Journal reported that the jet involved in that incident, delivered to Alaska Airlines just 66 days earlier, left the Boeing factory missing key bolts meant to keep the door plug attached to the fuselage. The manufacturer's newest single-aisle jet first faced criticism after 346 people died in two crashes, one in 18 and one in 19, involving MAX 8 jets. Yeah. A Boeing engineer previously told the New York Times that the timeline for building the MAX was extremely compressed as it raced to compete with the A320neo, which broke order records at the 2011 Paris Air Show. Joe Jacobson, a former engineer at Boeing and the FAA, also told the newspaper he wouldn't recommend flying on a MAX jet and said allowing the MAX 9 to fly again was premature. I would tell my family to avoid the MAX. I would tell everyone, really. Jacobson, hard for me to say.
How about no?
Jacobson cited a culture at Boeing that values financial engineering instead of technical engineering. This sounds like the plot of Fight Club. Pearson agreed with this, telling the LA Times, this is a culture where money is everything. Weird. Kind of sounds like my last place of employment and why I'm not at that last place of employment. They measure success by how many airplanes are delivered instead of how many quality airplanes are delivered. When you factor in all this together, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. Boeing did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Business Insider. Sent outside U.S. working hours, it declined comment. They're not going to comment on this. Anyway. Yeah, David correctly points out Qatar has some paint issues for the A350, which, I mean, paint is not, anyway. David has a namesake who works for LA Times. Yeah. Big layoffs at LA Times. Sports Illustrated was going under. Yeah. I have thoughts about that if we were sitting in a quiet bar with our favorite beverage and perhaps a rolled item from Central America, if you know what I mean. You probably don't. Nothing illegal. Oftentimes these come from Cuba, but I've never had a Cuban. I would share my thoughts about that, but I really have pretty. Some airlines have rejected a number of Boeing 787s for quality control issues. Correct, which is why I didn't bring up the 787, because it's a Boeing problem. Well, hello. My dog wants to say hi. Can you come up and say hi? Can you, there you go. Say hi to the interwebs and YouTube. This is Ivy. Hi. She's going to sniff the mic. Hello. Can you get down? Yeah. All right. Why don't you get down? Yeah, get down. Get down. All right. You said hi. Thank you. All right. No cats either. The cats avoid me now in the office, at least. They come in and they slink around, but they normally don't stay. Anyway, yeah. So I think Boeing, like Southwest in a different sort of way, has a systemic problem. Southwest refuses to pay for their infrastructure. Boeing is misguided in their management approach, it would appear, from the cheap seats. I don't know. That's my take. All right, Jim Smith is here.
Welcome to the party,
Jim, if I had something,
How about new?
it's the closest thing I got to some sort of sympathetic outpouring after the football game. Bummer, dude. And for me, I stole your defensive coordinator today. He's the new head coach of the Seahawks. Sorry. But he was also the defensive coordinator at Michigan too. So that's, that Harbaugh thing. They got a connection there. So could be that Michigan's current defensive coordinator is just going to, I don't know. Who knows? You never really know. Got a dog. She's already sleeping and snoring back there. Yeah. Well, that's a good attitude, Jim. Always next year. Yeah. Ivy needs to meet Tornado in Atlanta and compare stories. Yeah, that would be fun. I'm curious. I need to ask Matt how big Tornado is these days. Ivy might be getting a permanent friend. I think we've agreed. So my father-in-law, who I don't know, I probably didn't actually explicitly state this, passed away last year. His dog, he had a chocolate lab. Mother-in-law is still kicking, and so depending on how things go with mother-in-law, we might be inheriting the chocolate lab. So Ivy might get a chocolate lab friend. Her name's Kate. She knows Kate. Kate is Ivy has a little bit of border collie, we think. Kate is a purebred chocolate. Yeah, she's kind of dumb. And she likes to bolt. So you got to really guard the door anyway. So enough dog talk. Yeah, Ivy's back there with her Chewy. So she's chewing our bone. Back to the chat before we move on. Boeing's management being run by immediate profit financial managers instead of more conservative engineers is the consequence of the reverse merger with McDonnell Douglas. It's funny. That's a very insightful comment, and I 100% agree with it. My former employer, I always felt that when I was hired, the CEO, COO, I think they were both engineers who had kind of grown up with the company, been promoted from within, and then became the operators of the company. And so there was a very particular way that they did business from in an engineer standpoint. And once my former company, started getting, frankly, lawyers and business major type folks, the culture in the company changed. And I was a frontline manager. And so I had to deliver all of these. I had to be very selective about the news I gave to my staff because they didn't want the staff to know everything that I knew as a manager. And much like HAL 9000, I kind of went into a fugue and it nearly killed me, I think. So that's part of the reason I don't work there anymore. That internal conflict between what your core values are and what the company wants you to represent. When those two don't match, it's time to go. I think Badger might agree with me on that one as well. David says, gee, financial engineering has spread through U.S. corporations and not in a good way. Yeah. Agreed. Greed. It's all greed. Anyway. So there's my little culture moment for you. All right. Anyway, so the Max. I might not be flying the Max anytime soon. So time check. Jason's not in the air yet. So let us move to the next story. So sorry, David. You sent me all these cruise ship articles. And Badger, I'm glad you made it to and fro unscathed. But I saw this and I was like, oh, I got to do this. Because this is actually one of my cruise ship nightmare scenarios. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah. Over 100 cruise passengers ill on Cunard operated ship. Because the thing is, once people start hurling, that stuff gets airborne. It gets spread. People like try to be good, and it's a mess. It's just a mess. Becomes a mess. An outbreak has struck Queen Victoria, a Cunard line ship affecting over 100 passengers and crew members during its current 111-night voyage from Hamburg to Sydney. 111 nights. Health officials are investigating the cause with symptoms of diarrhea, and vomiting. Sounds awful, especially when you're on a 111-night voyage. Yeah, that's not good. The CDC has reported an outbreak on Queen Victoria operated by blah, blah, blah during the ship's current journey, which began in Fort Lauderdale on January 22nd, 2024. 120 of the ship's 1,800 have reported illness. So a lot of people are sick. Symptoms predominantly include diarrhea and vomiting. Yeah, and anybody who's ever had both at the same time, that's the worst. It happened to me once, and I remember thinking I just wanted to die because it was so awful. It's just awful. In response, Cunard has implemented enhanced cleaning and disinfection procedures and isolated those who are ill. Yep. They immediately activated their enhanced health and safety protocols to ensure the well-being of all guests and crew on board. The CDC noted gastrointestinal illness cases reported are totals for the entire voyage and do not represent the number of active symptomatic gastrointestinal cases at any given port of call or disembarkation. While the causative agents of the outbreak remain unidentified, norovirus is a common illness on cruise ships as well as workplaces, schools, and other crowded areas. Characterized by gastrointestinal symptoms, norovirus is highly contagious and can spread quickly in enclosed environments like ships. Notably, Celebrity Constellation is the first ship to report a norovirus outbreak in 2024. The outbreak struck the ship on its 9-night round-trip cruise from Tampa, Florida, which departed on January 12th. On this cruise, 68 of 256 passengers and 7 of the ship's 948 crew members reported symptoms of vomiting and diarrhea. 13 norovirus incidents were reported, blah, blah, blah. Preventative measures for passengers. This is what I'm interested in. Cruise travelers are advised to take precautionary measures to stay healthy and prevent the spread of illness. Passengers are also encouraged to practice good hygiene, such as frequent hand washing, and to minimize the risk of infection. And I'm sure some of you may be guilty. I am not. I have terribly dry skin on my hands because I'm super paranoid about such things. Might be a little OCD germaphobe. Maybe a little bit. Maybe. Anyway, so I wash my hands religiously. The number of times I see humans, especially in airports, just walk out the door. The worst ones, of course, they get out of their stall and walk out the door. Those are the ones that I just go, ah, which makes me want to wash my hands more. If illness is suspected, key practices include isolation, resting, staying hydrated, opting for a bland diet, and using over-the-counter medications for symptoms like diarrhea and nausea. I think there's a pink medicine that would be recommended. The smallest of Cunard's ships in operation, Queen Victoria, weighs just over 90,000 gross tons and can accommodate 2,061 guests. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Queen Victoria is currently on a 111-night full world voyage from Hamburg, Germany. Anyway, don't care anymore. All right, moved on. Let's check the chat. Let's see. Where was I? Wow. Badger says nothing good has come out of the U.S. since 2000. Oof. If I'd go that far, but I had 2 kids after that. I'm pretty happy with them. Anyway. Will this have impact on Delta's purchase of the MAX 10? Yeah, because they're going to buy all Spirit's Neos when Spirit goes bankrupt. That's my guess. David says norovirus is a serious problem on cruises. He follows it up with a number of airlines are looking to cancel. Problem is 13-year backlog. Yeah, I think Boeing will sweeten the pot and give everybody a big fat rebate. How many tens of thousands of people cruised without food poisoning? If 110 people received food poisoning at a stadium, it would not make the news. You're probably right. Any institutional kitchen, yeah. As long as it doesn't happen on a plane with 2 toilets and 100 people. Correct. We've had enough stories of poop flights. Wash your hands regularly. Be cautious. It can happen in many places with many folks indoors. Yes. Badger says Delta very recent announced intentions for perhaps 100 MAX 10s. Yeah, again, I've talked about this in the past. I really prefer the Airbus A320 family. It's just that little bit more room in the shoulders in economy. So, United, yeah, any restaurant can have some problems. Not common though. Yeah, I got food poisoned in Hawaii last year. That was unpleasant. Yeah. So I've recent experience with that. That was yeah. You don't want to get food poisoning when you're in Hawaii. Badger says, when I was a prison guard, the slang for inmates who did not wash their hands after using the bathroom was dick mittens. Other inmates would yell at them. Yeah. Badger says, meanwhile, I bought a 10-night Alaska cruise. Yeah. The what I think happens a lot of times, I don't know that it's food poisoning necessarily. I'm always suspicious that somebody has. People get on flights, people get on cruises when they're not feeling well. And I suspect that a lot of these are someone gets on, they're not feeling well, they start to party and they throw up. And they think, oh, I threw up because I was partying too hard. Oh, I've got this, and I gotta, and so they don't really think about it. And they're kind of out of it. They have poor hygiene, and then they go out in the ship and they infect someone else and someone else and someone. That's always been my theory about why a lot of these outbreaks occur. It's just one person's like, oh, I just drank too much. Maybe. How are you feeling when you got on the boat? That being said, the 10-night Alaska cruise tends to be a lot of nanas and grandpas. Nanas and grandpas aren't necessarily looking to party as much. At least that's my take from the videos and the research I've done for the Alaska cruise. The Caribbean cruises tend to be more of a party atmosphere in my estimation based on the research I've done. The Alaska cruises are generally kind of like sedate and less of a party vibe. So I think there's less of that, less of my scenario comes up. Still doesn't mean someone is not sick and they get on the boat and they claim seasickness too. So I would probably do an Alaska cruise. But the Caribbean, I watched Noel Phillips' cruise video. It didn't really look like that much fun to me. With my food problems especially, I just don't think I would have that much fun. So let's see. Archie says, had food poisoning from US Air on way to New Orleans, missed out on lots of great food. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. I got food poisoning from Air Canada, either their lounge or their in-flight meal. That chicken still tasted kind of funky. I think it was the in-flight meal. So yeah. Double volcano is unpleasant. I was hit hard by the 1998 listeria outbreak that killed 6 hot dogs. I ate 6 of them. Oh, dude, so sorry. Change of food can also cause stomach issues. This is especially true for your pets. Since I had a drive-by from the dog, you got to be very careful with your pets because they don't do well with dogs, especially don't do well with the food change. You're supposed to like mix them up and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's enough of that. Let's see. So we got about 15 minutes till Jason takes off. So let's move on to the next story. Yeah, I was sent this one. I again, I don't watch the news. I certainly don't watch NBC News. I just don't. I Googled travel headlines and this came up. So this was, yesterday. Distractions led to near collision between American and Delta flights on JFK runway, NTSB says. Disaster was averted because an air traffic controller using an expletive shouted at pilots of the other plane, the Delta Airlines flight, to abort their takeoff. There's a whole video about this. I saw it on YouTube as well when I was preparing for the show today. The pilots of an American Airlines plane taxied across the runway, this is last year in New York, into the path of another jetliner that was taking off after the captain became distracted and confused about takeoff instructions, and the co-pilot lost track of their plane's location, according to documents released Monday. Disaster was averted because an air traffic controller using an expletive, just we're grown-ups, NBC News, put the expletive, anyway, shouted at pilots of the other plane, a Delta Airlines flight, to abort their takeoff. The NTSB released documents related to its investigation of the January 13th incident at JFK. The investigation is continuing, and the board said it has not yet determined a probable cause for the close call. I thought you just said they were distracted. Mm-hmm. The nighttime incident was among several close calls at U.S. airports that alarmed the public and lawmakers and led to the FAA to hold a safety summit last year. Secretary Pete. Oh, thank God for Secretary Pete. What would we do without him? The pilots of London-bound American Air... I should have a sound effect for that.
What's wrong with the picture?
Yeah, computer problems. That was way too slow.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
The pilots of the London-bound American 777 took a wrong turn on a taxiway alongside 2 perpendicular runways. The crew had first planned to take a takeoff from runway 31 left. However, they later got instructions from a controller and a message from their cockpit computer telling them to taxi across 31 left and take off from runway 4 left. In later interviews, all 3 pilots on the American Airlines plane said they understood at the time that the flight would be departing 4 left, according to the NTSB. Instead, they crossed 4 left, just as a Delta Boeing 737 began its takeoff roll down the same runway. The captain, Michael Graber, said that the plane crossed the middle of 4 left. He saw red runway lights turn on. The lights warn pilots when it's not safe to be on the runway. All of a sudden, I saw the red glow and I just right away said something. That ain't right, he told investigators. I didn't know what was happening, but I was thinking something's wrong. The captain added power to speed across. Graber told investigators that he heard and understood the directions from the controller, but got distracted by a heavy workload, and in his mind, might have gone back to thinking they were taking off on the other runway. The co-pilot, Tracy Gonzalez, said she knew the entire time that they were supposed to cross runway 31 left, but she was unaware of the airplane's position when the captain taxied onto runway 4 left. Mm-hmm. And then the blame game happens down here. Cockpit voice recording from inside the American plane was taped over during the 6-hour flight to London and lost forever. Bummer. Yeah, JFK. Lots of runways at JFK. Not as many as Chicago, O'Hare, but a lot of runways. In fact, let's go to JFK. Having flown, this whole area is just so congested. This mass of airplanes, that's JFK, by the way. All right, I don't know I don't know the runways. That's 22 left. And let's see. 31 right. So 31 left is down here. This would be 31 left, I would assume. I can't see it because there's a plane in the way. There we go. 31 left. So that would be, where's 4? Where's 4? So what are these 4? There's 4. So 4 goes the other direction. TWA Hotel is right here. Anyway, let's check the chat before we move on to the next story. Let's see. We got Jason. Yep, 10 minutes to Jason. Jim asks, are we live tweeting Jason tonight? Hopefully his flight is scheduled for an 8:53 departure. Looks like it's on time. And so we will be following him. He will probably have flight duties. I'm so childish. He will probably have flight duties immediately after takeoff. Let's see, his flight, what did I say it was? 29:41. 29:41. 8:53, right there. Yes, he just takes me back to that. I really sometimes just want to go to Charlotte. Anyway, we'll go to Charlotte here in a few minutes, and yeah. So hopefully Jason will be live tweeting. I'm not sure how quickly he gets internet access. David says Secretary Pete guaranteed an entry every week in travel news. What did Biden call him that one time? The former vice president called him Secretary. No, he called him Pete Booty Juice. Badger says Secretary Pete's homosexuality makes him extra qualified to be Secretary of Transportation. I'm gonna skip. You guys are gonna get me in trouble. Badger says I'm not a fan of JFK. Those other ones will get me in trouble when YouTube parses my voice. Archie says NBC are pandering propagandists. Anyone remember their GM pickup truck scandal? I do not. But I agree with your comment. Customs is apparently bad at JFK. Yeah. I've not done it, so I can't weigh in on that. Pretty much anything in. No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Let's move on to the next story. We're gonna move on. Because if I start talking, it'll turn into a rant, and then squirrel. Yeah, and then bad things happen. And I enjoy live streaming with y'all, so I don't want to go there. If I was a different sort of stream and not a travel channel, then it would be appropriate, and I would probably need to be on a different platform than YouTube. Perhaps. I don't know if I honestly don't. It just doesn't seem like I know what the rules are for what is right think and what is wrong think. I just don't think I know what those rules are anymore. So I'm just, when in doubt, it's wrong think, and you have to like flog yourself later and to work out the wrong think. All right, American Airlines tries to fix its customer service with layoffs.
How about no?
Do you think that does that work? We'll find out.
Give me a ping, Vasily. One ping only, please.
All right. From the street, the airline has taken some curious steps that will prompt passengers to be very wary. Anytime a business makes cuts and tells customers that the effort is designed to better serve them, it raises a yellow flag. Generally, every company tends to sell layoffs as a positive because that's easier than coming out and saying that people just lost their jobs because the company wanted to make more money. Yeah, generally layoffs result in stock price going up. It's weird. Sometimes a company might justify layoffs to other personnel cuts by saying that they plan to replace people with technology. That works in some areas like warehouses and order picking, but has been a disaster in others. Self-checkout, for example, might require fewer people, but it has also enabled customers to more easily steal. What? That technology has also made it harder for retailers to know when theft is intentional and when customers simply fail to scan an item by accident. Yeah, I just hope it beeps and put it in the bag. Automation also has had mixed successes when it comes to customer service. Sometimes automated phone lines and chatbots give people the information they need, but on many occasions that automation leads customers to angrily yell "person" into their phone to try to find the right words to type to get transferred to a human. Sea breeze. Having fewer staff rarely leads to better service. That's why American Airlines passengers should be very wary of the airline's latest changes. We got 6 minutes to Wapner. American Airlines makes customer service cuts. American Airlines has decided to pair 656 workers as it consolidates its customer service units. The cuts include 335 people in Phoenix and 321 in Dallas. The changes will consolidate multiple teams into one group. So the same group, now called Customer Success Team, will handle everything from canceled or delayed flights to lost luggage. In theory, this could make things easier for customers dealing with multiple problems, as they would have a single point of contact. Remaining functions, including single easily addressed issues like a damaged suitcase, will be shifted to existing international contact centers run by American and its partner airlines. Oh gosh. Those centers, mostly belonging to American, operate daily around the clock. American Airlines. Oh gosh. American. The airline was understaffed to begin with relative to providing a reasonable service. Yeah, that's kind of been my experience with American. The COVID pandemic left American Airlines with significant debt. The company reported $3.6 billion in current maturities of long-term debt and finance leases, as well as $29.2 billion in long-term debt and finance leases, the net of current maturities at the end of Q4. American Airlines has been working to lower its debt and has had some success. Yeah. Forget Spirit, another major airline. Oh, interesting. Our relatively low capital requirements, along with our free cash flow production, has allowed for significant progress in strengthening the balance sheet. Chief Financial Officer Devin May shared during the airline's fourth quarter earnings call, "We have now reduced total debt by approximately $11.4 billion from peak levels in 21. That is just billion. That blows my mind. And by the end of this year, we expect to have reduced total debt by approximately $13 billion from peak levels in 21, which is over 85% of the way towards our $15 billion total debt reduction plan. With a smaller customer service department, American expects to serve more passengers in 24. So less equals more.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. This year, we'll finally be producing more capacity than we did in 2019. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, it's our buddy Daniel Klein. Lovely. I don't know. We'll see. Hey, we got Rob Bart in chat.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Is the Alaska Hawaiian merger still going through? No, I've heard nothing to say it's not. It takes years for these things to finally settle out. I think they're probably filing with the government, and the government has to approve, make sure there's no antitrust violations like the Spirit JetBlue thing. So, Dave says, this is American Airlines making a potential mistake. It would be good to hear from Jason on this. Yeah, it would. NBC publicly apologized last night for secretly using incendiary devices to stage a fiery crash. Oh. Yeah, I watch repeats of The Office. I watch Seinfeld, and I kind of watch hockey. I've been watching repeats of original Star Trek, so I don't, I stream something. If you're looking for a very wholesome, lovely show on PBS, All Creatures Great and Small. I love that show, actually. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. Anyway. AI chatbots are common with customer services, but I gave up signing up for companies' services because of this. Yeah, exactly. $1 million. I need to get that in the set.
Liquid hot magma.
Dr. Evil has just so many good things to say. Alaska and Hawaii have an advisory board now. Maybe they will lead them to the promised land of a merger. All right, let's go back and find Jason's flight. He should be... slight delay, it looks like. Let's go to Charlotte on the map, see if his plane is live. Where do I get the map? I just want the map. Can I just go back to the map? Let's just go back to here. CLT. Matt has a special name for this airport. That's all I'm going to say about that. He has a special name for Sun Country as well. I'm not going to talk about that either. All right. Let's see. So up here at the terminal, we're looking for 2941. Don't think it's active yet. Don't see it. Yeah. It should be popping up here soon. When will now be then? Soon. So we will keep moving on. $1 million. I gotta get that. I should do that on the soundboard. That'd be great.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's kind of my life right now. I have a full day these days. Just lots of stuff happening. All right. Another American Airlines thing. Oh, good. The border. I don't want to talk about that either. American Airlines. Oh, sorry. That's my news headline music. American Airlines hard landing on Maui sends 6 to the hospital. 5 American Airlines flight attendants and 1 passenger are recovering after their flight from LA made a hard landing on Maui. That's a bummer. Of course, if you had to recuperate in Maui as a flight attendant, I've not been to Maui. Lahaina burned down, which is a bummer. I don't know if Oprah's bought everything there yet or not, but anyway. And rebuilt it. An American Airlines flight from Los Angeles made a hard landing at Maui's main airport, sending 5 flight attendants and 1 passenger to the hospital. Have any of you ever sat in a flight attendant's jump seat? It is brutally uncomfortable. Matt told me, as a former flight attendant, he told me that the seats are brutally uncomfortable because the airline doesn't want you to sit in them. So if they were injured upon landing, they were seated. So they probably broke their tailbone or something. It'd be my guess. They're really, really firm. They're uncomfortable. Anyway, The 6 were later released, the airline said in a statement. So it wasn't terrible. Maybe they just punched themselves in the flight. Flight 271 arrived at Kahului Airport around 2 p.m. on Saturday, according to the FAA, which said it was investigating. Neither American Airlines nor the FAA provided additional details. The A320 was carrying 167 passengers and 7 crew, according to the airlines. So 2 in front, 1 in the middle. That's 3. Oh, crew, 7 crew, 2 pilots. So 5 flight attendants, 2, 1, and 2. Yeah, okay. What a bummer. Let's see. If there's a customer service problem, it's actually better to hire more people to fix the problem. What? It can actually boost sales as good customer feedback helps. I got the impression from the article, and maybe I read too much into this article, but I remember the last time I had to talk to American's customer service. And I had to make one phone call to arrange for my luggage to make it home, because it actually made it to my home before I did. Because luggage flies sometimes even when you are not on the plane, turns out. And then I was transferred to another desk. Now, there were two groups of people that were getting laid off. It could be that phone call transfer thing, that usually leads to problems. And so if those people were in the same physical location, I don't know. I have no idea. It's all speculation.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if it's the 2 different offices handling 2 different sides of the customer service scenario, and they had technology problems transferring back and forth. Who knows? Let's see. Airlines allow crew to fly entire flights in the jump seat. They do. Jim asks if this is a Pepsi Zero. It is a Pepsi Zero. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Hopefully it's a good thing. I like I used to drink Coke. Well, most of the flights I'm on have Coke Zero, which is fine. But I prefer Pepsi Zero, it turns out. I like Pepsi Zero more than I like Coke Zero. So.
How dare you?
I know there's some people who would be very upset with me for that one. But yes, Jim, that is a Pepsi Zero.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Good choice. Thank you, my friend. All right. Class warfare. Business passenger removes economy bag from overhead bin. The poors. I call them the norms oftentimes. Of course, I call people who can eat bread norms as well, because I can't. But anyway.
Squirrel!
Yeah. The poors can't use my space. A business class passenger shares that they boarded late, started shuffling bags around in the overhead bin to allow above their seat in order to fit their carry-on. An economy passenger 2 rows back asked them to be careful with their bag. He pulled the passenger's bag out and placed it at his feet to put his own up in the bin. The bin has a sign that marks what it's for. Cabin crew tried to find another place for the economy passenger's bag. They couldn't, and that bag got checked. The passenger, and understandably one of the ground personnel, tried to have a shot at me taking his bag out, and said I shouldn't have touched his bag. My argument was I paid for the space according to my ticket. My bags were where they were meant to be, and his were not. All right. Reserved for first and business. Okay. I've seen this happen, actually. Wow. First overhead. This business person seems very Karen-like to me, but anyway. First overhead bins are shared space, but airlines may designate a bin for passengers in a particular cabin, and everyone should follow these instructions. Second, I'm shocked that a passenger and coach who used the bin had their bag removed and taken out of the cabin. Yeah, I'm not, actually. It doesn't surprise me in the least. Generally, gate check bags isn't much of a thing on Southwest Airlines, and it wasn't much of a thing until 16 years ago when airlines started charging to check bags. When checked bags are free, people bring less on board. Yes. Charge for carry-ons, not checked bags. And they used to be allowed to bring on more bags. Overhead bins were smaller, and there was still enough room before 9/11. It was common for airlines to allow 2 full-size carry-on bags on board, and that didn't even count your personal item. Also, the TSA happened, and to speed up the security checkpoint limits were placed on carry-on bags. More bags carried on means more bags going through the checkpoint and more work for screeners. Blah, blah, blah. So, the nuts and bolts. Who gets the overhead bin space? Here are 6 principles for carry-on bags that I think are true. When everyone is on board, the remaining space belongs to everyone. A boarding pass is a license to hunt. Okay. It's not okay to use bin space above the bulkhead if you aren't seated there. I agree with that one. Unwritten rules, sadly, aren't enforceable. American Airlines said 87% of its customers fly at most once a year. Yeah, so they just don't know. They don't know the deal. Lack of experience. There's an information problem. Passengers boarding the plane don't know what bin space has already been taken or what's left. Closed bins might be a signal, or the bins might just be closed. Excuse me. Closed bins. The number of bins being closed are supposed to be a sign that that bin is full. That is like the unwritten rule. If you travel a lot, you know these things. If you don't travel a lot, you probably don't. And I see people open them up all the time, and then they go, "Oh, that's full." I've got a dark van parked across the street. Am I paranoid? Are they looking at me? Anyway, maybe I'm paranoid. Coach passengers taking first class bin space slows down deplaning. Yeah. Be sure you aren't the last to board. This passenger was a jerk. It actually sounds like this premium cabin passenger was going to fit their bag in the bin by moving some items around. They were being a jerk, tossing the other passenger's bag down, and cabin crew let them get away with it. But the coach passenger taking bin space not designated for their cabin would have been far better off not speaking up. I would agree with that. A lot of comments. It struck me that telling people not to board last seems a little contradictory coming from someone who cheerfully admonishes everyone to arrive at the airport as late as possible. Yeah, I don't advise that. I get there early. I'm always early. There's a lot of equivocating here. First he says there was room. If he shifted some bags around, then he clarifies there wasn't. Blah, blah, blah. I would not want to be last to get overhead space, but also not to be first. If you got a laptop, yeah, you keep it with you. I would never put a laptop in an overhead. Anyway, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? I'll let you weigh in chat, and you can leave a comment. I think the first class passenger, business class passenger, was a bit of a Karen, and he should have just been less of a.
Give me a ping, Vasily. 1 ping only, please.
Badger says, Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar is even better. I have that in my refrigerator as well. Yes. David says, I have to agree with the first class passenger. I've heard of passengers putting bags in the first overhead bin, even if sitting dozens of rows further back. I've actually seen that. I'm sitting in my lovely seat, either in first. Actually, I was probably in the plus section of whatever flight this was. I've seen it multiple times. And this dude gets on the plane and takes 2 steps down the aisle and throws his bag up in the first class cabin and then continues to walk to the back of the plane. I think that's a party foul. Matt, one of my favorite Mattisms is turd in the punch bowl. I think that guy was a turd in the punch bowl. I just think that's bad. Badger says free checked bags. The cargo hold is worth almost as much as the passenger's compartment same day and next day delivery. True. But most people are so paranoid about losing their checked bag that they don't do it. So yeah, I just think it's a shame. I wish checked bags were more affordable. I do think it would be better for everybody if they checked more. There he is. Ah, lovely. I believe they've pushed. There we go. So if you don't know, if you're not a regular, this is my friend Jason Hobbs. He is a member.
Welcome to the party, pal.
So he gets double duty. Duty. He said duty. 2941 off to Omaha. So Jason gets to overnight in Omaha, I believe. He did not confirm. I didn't ask that. Jason is going to have an overnight here in lovely Boise next week. So I'm going to have breakfast with Jason Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember what day it is. So next week, I actually get to hang out with Jason in the flesh, person to person. Looking forward to that. So David travels with just a carry-on. Right on, brother. Badger says, when I travel with my elderly father-in-law, his CPAP and scripts are always carry-on. Correct. I always recommend that you have whatever you consider to be your essentials with you on board the aircraft. For many people, essentials are batteries, cords, things to plug in your device. For me, it is a book. I always have a book of some sort. Along with my cords. And then for a lot of people, essentials include medicine, include CPAP, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm always paranoid because I check my bag so frequently that I'm always a little paranoid that I'm going to forget my bag when when I leave the aircraft, because it's not a habit. I probably check my bag 90% of my flights. So it's always like, oh, don't forget your carry-on, because I have my personal item, my backpack, camera, and all that stuff goes in the backpack. I don't check my camera ever. So, while Jason taxis, if you ever are in Charlotte, there is a lovely sponsored spotting location off of Old Dowd Road, I believe it is. Where is that thing? Because there's another runway. Let me orient myself. I'm on the wrong side of the airport. Or am I? Sorry. Yeah, no, it is. It's this road here. To this place? No, that's a cement factory. Anyway, Charlotte Douglas International has a lovely spotting area. I think it is on there. It's right here. It's right here. Little park here. Overlooks probably the main runway. A lot of arrivals over here on this remote runway, but lovely little spotting location. I think a lot of parking. You can walk. This is all fenced in down here, but it's a hill, so you can basically, there's benches. These are benches. You can sit on those benches and hang out and watch airplanes. So it's a lovely little spotting area. And off in the distance, if I zoom out, way out, you have downtown Charlotte. And so I've got pictures of airplanes taking off and landing with downtown Charlotte in the background. So it's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm being really, really fast with all my ninja moves.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Crossing the long parallel crossing runway. I think a little bit of taxi. It looks like they are number 9 for departure. Number 9 for departure. The longest, I think I was 21st in line at Newark one time. This is your captain. We're 21st for takeoff. That's a long line. I think we entered the taxiway like would have been equivalent to up here. It was pretty crazy. All right. Let's see. Jim says passengers well taken care of tonight on American Airlines 2941. You correct. Jason is working the first class cabin this evening. Seniority has its privilege. If I worked as a flight attendant, I would prefer the first class cabin as well. Speaking of my father and the Alaska cruise early in the stream, we're going to take Amtrak from Michigan to Seattle with the sleeper car. My father loves the train. Have a blast, man. Have a blast. That sounds interesting. I would like to give an American train a try. I would like to give some European trains a try as well. So, Empire Builder route. Sounds fun. Hope you share some video. Any videos from Charlotte? I don't know. I honestly can't tell you if I have any videos from Charlotte. I think if I do, let me look, because I can look for such things while we're watching Jason. Let's just put follow. We'll follow Jason's flight because he won't have, I don't think he'll have Wi-Fi until he's up in the air. At one point I did have a, yeah. There are 2 videos. And they are public. 4K Embraer Charlotte to Newark. So these are flight videos. These are older. Gosh, when was I in Charlotte?
Hey, John from Trizity.
That's a trip report. 5 years. It's been 5 years ago since I was in Charlotte. Wow, crazy. While we're waiting. Yeah, look at that.
I've wrapped up my first visit to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm headed home via Newark Liberty on United Airlines E-175. E stands for Embraer, if you don't know. We have some nice views of the East Coast of the United States. I picked a bad seat, so I'm staring at the sun most of the flight. So that's unfortunate, but that's part of the travel game.
I won't spoil the rest. Archie, you can go take a look for yourself. I'll put this one in the show notes. And I think I have, let's see. I think I have the flight from Newark into Charlotte. I have that as well. That's a night flight though. And that's actually the flight. I think that might be the flight where we were, because I've been to Newark twice. That might have been the departure flight. I'll put this one in the show notes as well. Yeah.
Hey, John from Trizity Traveling.
I'll put up above them. So that's Newark to Charlotte, and it's United 737. That might have been the one when I was like 20th in line. There's one of them out of Newark. We were 13th, I think, and one of them where I was 21st. And I can't remember. It might be the flight. It might be the trip leaving. There's got to be a couple more out there too, because I flew from Newark back to San Francisco on a 757-300 by United. Had bad single serving friends that kept yelling at me to close my shade. Jerks. Anyway. Yeah, so I had that. So I got a couple of those. I'll try to put those in the show notes, try to remember. Yeah, so there should be 2 more. I don't know why only 2 came up. Oh, because it's Newark. That's why. Because the other ones are Newark. Yeah, so there's 4 total. I flew on my way to Newark. I flew on a United 777-200, and if you didn't know, at the back of the 777, there's like 6 rows where they transition because of the fuselage narrowing from a 3-3, a 3-4-3 to a 2-3-2, I think, or 2-4-2 as you go further in the back of the aircraft. So you can get a 2-seat, you can get a seat with only one single serving friend at the back of a 777. I don't think a lot of people know that. Badger, that would be good for you, I think. Because you and I have discussed the value of only one single serving friend. Especially if you're traveling as a twosome, then you and your partner, whoever you're traveling with, can get the 2 seats, but you got to book them really early because they tend to go really quick. So on a 777, you can get one single serving friend seat. So, yeah. So if you go to Archie, if you go to my channel, Newark and Charlotte would give you that whole trip report. So, Badger says, thanks for reminding me that Under Siege 2 is a thing. You know that Speed 2 is a thing too. Speed 2 was a cruise related thing. I never saw Speed 2. I don't know that I saw Under Siege 2. I saw Under Siege 1. What's his name? The bad martial arts guy. Gosh, can't remember his name. Anyway, I'm stretching here. We're stretching to see if we can get a message from Jason before I sign off, because my roast is done. David says, I always remember that one of the baddies in Under Siege 2 was Stilgar. Oh, the David Lynch Stilgar. Interesting. I did not know that. The Dune 2 trailer was out this week. I don't know if anybody watched that. I don't know if anybody likes the Dune movie, the new one. I thought it looked pretty badass. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Badger says, Speed 2 was one of the worst movies ever. So what's your vote for worst movie ever made? Gosh, I had an easy answer for this one time, but there's actually been a lot of bad movies come out lately, it seems like. Yeah, Speed 2 without Keanu Reeves. Jason Patrick. Yeah, terrible. I never really liked Jason Patrick, but he didn't make a lot of movies either, I don't think. At least I don't recall him being in a lot of movies. Least favorite movie. Probably, what was it? Boogie 2, Electric Boogaloo or something? Band of the Hand. That's a really bad movie that probably no one here has ever heard of even. When we were in high school, the thing to do, we still had to drive in high school. We'd go to the drive-in and watch double feature on Fridays and Saturdays. Cats the Musical. Yeah, I'd have a hard time sitting through that. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Never seen that. I've heard that it's awful. Never ever done that. Let's see. What else? What's another bad, awful movie? I mean, a lot of people hate Mars Attacks. It's so campy and cheesy. I love it. So I wouldn't put it there. Bad movie. I was really disappointed. There's an airplane movie, Korean War movie called Devotion. There goes Jason. Off. Let's follow. A movie called Devotion, which I thought could have been really good. It's about 2 pilots. One of them happens to be a black guy. The other guy is the white guy from the South. Anyway, and it should have been a really good movie. My favorite One of my favorite airplane museums is the Planes of Fame in Chino, California, and they used a lot of their aircraft for that. If you watched the Warbird Roundup video, the Corsair that is in the Warbird Roundup, this year's Warbird Roundup, was used in the movie Devotion. Yeah, it could have been better. It didn't really need to be more dramatic than it was. So kind of bummed me out. Hey, look who's here. Jason is in chat.
Welcome to the party, pal.
All right. Welcome, my friend. We are, I don't know if you can see what I are seeing, but we're tracking you. So Jim says, rumor is that AA is launching Dallas to BNE with some others tomorrow per their Instagram teaser. Interesting. Sorry so late. Yeah, we're watching your departure, my friend. Looks like you are, according to Flight Radar 24, you have reached 3825. Not climbing at the moment. Was there other traffic? Probably because of this traffic. So you have to stay underneath that traffic, I'm going to guess. Well, we're at 4,200 feet. Says you're doing almost 3,000 feet per minute. I think the LA flights guys would say that I think that's a rocket launch. Anyway. I did see a special director's cut of Beastmaster 3. That was bad, but they modified it so it was hilarious. Is Beastmaster the one where the main guy has a sword that, like, with 3 blades and the 2 outside blades can shoot? Plus he can talk to animals. But is that Beastmaster? Anyway. Yeah, so Jason looks like he's confirming Jim's rumor. There you go. Right on. So Jason probably got a few minutes before those what do you want to call them? First class elitists need their beverages, their hot, warmed nuts. I will tell you that of all of the things I've ever gotten on an airplane, my favorite by far is that little dish of warm nuts. I love that. It is just, I don't know what it is about it. I love it. And the only airline that does it in North America that I'm aware of is American. When you have a dinner service, you can get the little dish of warm nuts. Love that. I think it's fantastic. Start with your warm nuts and your drink, and you enjoy your beverage. Last time I did it, I had gin and tonic, and I had the warm nuts and just a little, the salt and the kind of sweet beverage was fantastic. Love it. Jason says, I like them too. Yeah, it is fantastic. That's just one of my flight experiences. It's such a kind of a simple, silly thing, and I hope American doesn't ever cut costs and get rid of that, because I think it's a fantastic thing. So Jason, do you overnight in Omaha this evening? Looks like the flight is scheduled to arrive at 10:33, according to Flight Radar 24. Omaha on a Wednesday. Ooh. Very exciting. How long do you have to get up and do service? Because unfortunately for everyone here, now that you've taken off, I think I got to go and eat. I'm starving to death. Starving. So I haven't seen back from Jason, so I'm guessing he's probably preparing service. They're about 10,000 feet up. I believe that's the gong just went, saying that the sterile portion of the takeoff period of the flight is done. So yeah. So sorry, my friends, but I'm gonna bail out there. If you'd like to follow Jason, he is on American 2941. He is on Instagram at JW Hobbs. Spending the night in Omaha and then tomorrow night in Chicago. Nice. Well, Jason, I'm glad you were able to make it in, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully that flight your schedule does not get changed, and we can still meet up next week. So that'll be awesome. For everyone else out there, if you ever make it to Boise, let me know, and we can meet up and break bread. So, all right, that is all I have for you this evening. And with that, good night, Jason. Good luck with your first class passengers. And I will be headed out.
Liquid hot magma.
I love that. All right. See you on Sunday, noon Eastern. No football this Sunday. So, yeah. Anyway. Bye-bye. Have a good evening, everyone.